Hi everyone, it's Meredith with Soulnavigation, your evolutionary astrologer. I have such a fascinating video for you today. I hope you will stick with me through the whole thing. It is just mind-blowing, the research that I've done about this lunar eclipse coming up. It's massive, massive energy on the 4th of July, the 4th and 5th of July, depending on where you live. I'm sitting here right in the heart of Seattle, Washington. Where are you? I want to know, where are you in the world? Because the world is tilted on its axis, and we can see more than ever that we're all one. And we all kind of collectively feel like we're in one place. I've got so much to share with you. I want to tell you, why is the world the way it is today? How can we get through it? I'm going to give you some really mega important dates that I want you to pay attention to, especially for July 2020, but you can watch this video for any day of the year. It is relevant for the rest of 2020 and going forward, because we are standing in the epicenter of a life-changing, game-changing revolution, and I'm going to prove it to you. I'm also going to take you back into time when I did some videos in December where I was talking about what we would be standing in right now, but I didn't really know what the face was going to look like. I just knew what it would feel like. So stick with me on this short little journey today in this video, and I hope it blows your mind like it blew mine. First, I want to say happy birthday to my Cancers. I love my Cancers. If you are a Cancer, give me a little note about you. Where do you live? And tell me about you, because I'm celebrating you in this video. Also, I want to say, yay, Venus is direct. Do you feel it? Do you feel more love in the world? A little bit, even a little bit. I know simultaneously we're still going through and sort of drowning in challenge and difficulty, but are you seeing the little glimmers of beauty, like my beautiful flowers? You know, stop and smell the roses. I have to tell you, our marker is still that 22 degrees Capricorn marker, because Pluto and Saturn are in that great conjunction. It started all last year, but the culmination of it was January 12th, 2020, like when it came to an explosive head. And what this time is about is clearly an abuse of power. I'm going to show you some clips from my past videos where I spoke about it in detail, although I didn't really know what was taking shape exactly and precisely. What we're experiencing with this Pluto-Saturn conjunction is a loss of power, and we are standing in, truthfully, with this lunar eclipse, and since the January 12th, 2020 time frame, on the 10th we also had an eclipse. It sort of feels like a mass exodus, and I hate to say that, but doesn't it feel that way? And I think it's a shedding. I think it's a shedding of the old ways, ushering in the new ways, into moving us into the fifth dimension. I want you to take a peek at a clip from early January, and it's from my video. I hope you'll go back and watch the whole thing, because I was just sitting there going, oh wow. It's titled, How Will Life Change in 2020? Massive Lunar Eclipse in Cancer on January 10th. Sets the tone. And that's what we're reliving right now. So this transit is going to require work. It's going to require you to be very awake and implement the things that you wish and desire and want to create in your goals, step by step by step by step by step. There is an emotional, visceral, toxic fight or opposition. So we also have inside of us probably that kind of opposition. So where do you sit in that? You might need to reset those expectations. But we will see in the world authority figures, strong woman, strong male, clashing at odds. So is there someone who's trying to shut you up or alienate you or isolate you, or do you feel like you have too many responsibilities right now? Are you emotionally exhausted? That's what this is. I did know we were looking down a transformative barrel of a gun, and I knew that we would never be the same again. We have 6 eclipses this year, which is so rare. When eclipses happen, these are fated moments. It is a fated time. We are standing in a moment of destiny and a moment of fate. It is a time that is magnified, and it is a shape shifting period. Not only will you change, not only will your soul jump the train track and head in a different direction, our entire collective global world is doing the same thing. We are creating a new existence for self and for the outer world. We are pushing on the power structures in our life and toppling old systems and structures that no longer work for us. We are literally standing in massive change, and we are creating a brand new existence for self, for the world, and for humanity. It's one of the largest years, most important and most potent years in the history of our lifetimes. If you are watching this, this is one of the most important years, and I'm going to show you why. We are growing a new future. We are growing a new value system. And I'm going to give you some really important dates right now, and please write these down, because these are our destiny dates for this year. The first one was January 10th, 2020. We had a lunar eclipse that day. I'm going to give you the eclipse dates. The next one happened on June 5th with that Sagittarius full moon. And that is when we saw the Black Lives Matter movement. It was 1 week off, but it still was that eclipse that ushered that in. The next one was June 20th, and that was a new moon solar eclipse. And then our next one is July 4th, and that is a full moon in Capricorn. Then we've got our next one on November 30th, 2020. Please write that down. And then our last one for 2020 is on December 14th. Please write these dates down. These are destiny days. This is when we will see and experience massive change. We've already had 3, and this July we're going on 4. That is a tremendous amount of power. We don't usually have this many in a year. We usually have about 4, and this year we have 6. We have to talk about the 4th of July. It is a massive day, and I'm going to go deep into that. But first I have to say that on June 28th, Mars went into Aries, and it will live there for an unusual amount of time, for 6 months. So the whole rest of our year in 2020 is a Mars year, and it's going to go retrograde and it's going to go forward. So there is, and I want you to prepare for it. The whole reason why I tell you this is because I want you to have your stamina and eat your veggies, eat your spinach, so you can have some muscle and you can really protect yourself, and you can really step into your own personal power and not get demolished or demoralized, but know that you are inside a revolution. Are you going to play in it? Are you going to watch it? Are you going to stand in silence? Are you going to speak up? How are you going to be in it? But we are in the most serious of times right now. So Mars is going to enter Aries on June 28th, and it's going to live there for about 6 months' time. And on September 9th, it's going to go retrograde at 28 degrees Aries, and it's going to retrograde until November 13th. And then it goes forward. Do you know anybody with the Mars in Aries? Yeah, they don't mess around. It is massive energy. It is unruly, and it will not be bossed around. It doesn't want to be told what to do. It is large and proud and forceful, and the warrior, the gladiator. This is Mel Gibson in Braveheart. You know, this is like just really intense, forceful energy. And so get ready for serious unrest in this country for the next 6 months. Now watch this clip that I did on January 3rd and listen to how I predict what we're facing right now. I'm talking in this thing about, I didn't know Corona was a thing yet. So listen to what I say in it briefly. It's fast.
We haven't had this aspect. Pluto moves so slowly.
that I believe it was 1284 and 1285, the year 1284 and 1285. And around that time, maybe not exactly in that year, but around that time, China was invaded and completely taken over, and Wales was completely consumed by England. And if you think about the, if you think about this, Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn coming together, that will not happen for another 735 years. So when you have a transit of this magnitude, with this much potency, with these two enormous powerhouse planets, you get nothing but gargantuan energy. So this energy isn't calming down anytime soon. And in the month of July, around even after the 4th of July, but the lunar eclipse on the 4th and 5th of July is going to bring in another surge of this kind of energy. There is going to be another COVID surge here for sure in the United States. Praying to God it's not in Seattle, but it will occur in states at a deadly rate, or in a way that is just incapacitating to so many people. So I do want you to be careful. I really do want you to be careful and take precautions. And let me show you why. We not only have that massive lunar eclipse on the 4th of July, and I'm going to go into the details of that because it's just fascinating, but I want to tell you that whatever Jupiter is doing, it expands and it grows. And Jupiter is retrograding back to that pulse of 22 degrees Capricorn. And that is where we were standing on that January 10th and 11th and 12th, 2020, where the coronavirus was actually rooted already in Wuhan, and it was on its way here, and then it took us out right after that. But Jupiter is retrograding to that 22 degree Capricorn. That's kind of that grenade, where those two grenades come together and they explode, July 8th through the 16th. So we are going to see corona cases rise in the United States for sure. I think the rest of the world actually has better leadership around the corona and is doing a way better job of containing it. But when the United States is crumbling, if you will, under corona and all of these horrible things that are happening here, it leaks out to the rest of the world, and the global economy suffers, and it's just sad for everyone. So there will be a surge. I believe, it is in my opinion, that there will be a surge in COVID cases between July 8th and 16th. And if not exactly on those days, give me 10 days before or 10 days after. So let's go back to the 4th of July, and I want you to take a look at the birth chart of the United States. Let's put it up with also the July 4th, 2020 transits in a biwheel, and you can see what's going on. So look at this. Saturn, our planet of authority, government, rules, and regulations, where we feel oppressed, where we feel suppressed, where we feel depressed, right, is at that crisis degree of 29 Capricorn. Now, what's interesting about that is it moved out of Capricorn and into Aquarius, and now it's retrograding back, and it's in crisis. When it's in retrograde, and when it's Saturn, and when it's Capricorn, what does it say? It says you can't really trust the authorities, and you need to, how do I say this? You have to become your own authority. You have to do the research to know what is right and wrong, who is lying to you, who is trying to suppress you and hold you down. Where are you experiencing a misuse of information or power. You have to figure it out for yourself. And you can feel very alone and misguided by the people in charge. When Saturn is in retrograde, it kind of, the literal translation is sort of means like fatherless, without a guide. If you have Saturn retrograde in your own chart, I bet you learned how to be your own father, your own authority, your own rule maker. I bet you had to, in some ways, parent yourself. And that's what's happening. We have to go back in time, and we have to realize that you cannot trust everybody who is in authority. There's incompetency at the top level. We're seeing this in 1,000 different ways. I'll let you conclude, how you're seeing it and how you're experiencing it. But people who are supposed to be taking care of you, people who are supposed to be protecting you, people who, are supposed to be in charge aren't. They're not capable. They're not capable here. They're not capable here. And they might not be physically capable. So that's why we are seeing massive police reform in this country. And if we don't get it, if we don't get it soon, innocent lives will be lost. So I think we will step in the future into more compassionate policing, where police and cops and authorities learn to arrest with more compassion, better, more empathetic conversations before they shoot. So if you look at this chart, there's a massive lunar eclipse on July 4th at 9:44 Pacific time, and it's at 13 degrees Capricorn. So the moon is in Capricorn and the sun is in Cancer, and it's a full moon. So it is an ending. Eclipses mean that the nodes are close to the full moon or the new moon. And that's what you need in order to create an eclipse. You need that nodal axis to be right there on the new moon or full moon. And so here we have the moon that is full, right, in Capricorn, along with the south node. And so we are revisiting our past. The south node is our past. It's our baggage. And so we are revisiting lessons we've already learned. So I want you to know that we also have these massive, massive power planets that are all in retrograde in Capricorn, and they oppose the sun. Not only do they oppose the sun, they oppose the sun and the United States birth chart sun. So the United States has its own birth chart, and this is all opposing the sun in the US birth chart and our sun right now, July 4th, 2020. Look at it. We have Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all retrograde, all opposing the sun, and the sun in the United States birth chart. And we have the moon and the south node with all those retrograde planets opposing it as well. That's a lot of opposition. We are in an opposition with Pluto, Jupiter, the moon, Saturn, and the sun is the people. So the people are in a fight, in opposition with the soul of our country, in a way. We are, let me say that differently. We are in an opposition. We are in a fight for the truth about the soul of our country, and therefore the truth about the people, that's the sun sign, that live in this country. There's a huge fight going on. We're fighting for our lives in numerous ways. We're fighting for our existence in numerous ways, through the destruction of our planet. We haven't even talked about that in 2 months. Through our political corruption, through those who are in authority and the abuse of power, identity crisis and social crisis, where we have hierarchical systems of power in this country that are grotesque and unfair and immoral and inhumane. So all this is on the table. And that is represented with Jupiter, our highest selves, our belief system, Pluto, corporations and government, the abuse of power, the dark shadow side, Saturn, also the corporate world, our systems and structures that are archaic and old-fashioned, and the moon, the soul, all in opposition to the people. Let me show you something fascinating now. It got hot, so I had to take off my jacket. It takes about 248 years for Pluto to go all the way around the zodiac, through all the signs, okay? So can you believe that this massive revolution that we are having is right when the United States is having its Pluto return? So look at the chart. Pluto is at 24 degrees Capricorn, and when the USA was born, it was at 27 degrees Capricorn. So this is all being triggered again in a brand new way. We're returning to fighting for the soul of our country, but it's done in a new way. So I want to talk to you about so many things about this, but first I want to know, where is 13 degrees in your chart? And then where is 13 degrees Capricorn in your chart? And then where is specifically 13 degrees Cancer in your chart? Because wherever you have that 13 degree Capricorn Cancer line, if you have it in the 6th and the 12th house, do you have it in the 2nd and the 8th house? Do you have it in the 9th and the 3rd house, the 1st and the 7th house? You're going to have it in houses that are in opposite to each other. That's where this lunar eclipse is happening for you. That's where you're playing out this eclipse. Now remember, you got 6 of them. You've got 6 of them this year, and they're all at little tiny different places. But we're now in the last one of Capricorn and Cancer, and now we're going to move into Gemini and Sagittarius eclipses. So this is very important for you to know, because this is where massive, massive transformation and a revolution wants to happen, or is already in play, right? Because this is the 4th one. We've got 2 more to go this year. It's already in play. So what theme is it playing out in? If you know your birth time, you can know what house 13 degrees Cancer, 13 degrees Capricorn is in your chart. And that is where you're having an internal shift, and that's what you will fight for, and that's how you will get involved with the revolution that's happening externally. Now again, if you live in Zimbabwe and you are watching this, the same thing is happening in your world. It's just that I would have to go look at Zimbabwe's chart, right, to see if this is like if this is like a revolution for your country, for your state, like it is in the United States. The other hard part about this, well, I do want to tell you that Pluto is going to have its exact return on the most interesting of dates. Are you ready for this? It's on 2/20/2022. I am not making that up. It is on 2/20/2022. So 2/20/2022. Yeah. That's crazy. That's when the United States will have its Pluto return. So we're feeling it now, and it's stronger when it's applying, right? And when it's applying, it's like building up speed, and then it hits exact, and then it starts to separate. So after 2022, we are going to be in a whole different life. We hopefully will feel like we won. We won this battle. Hopefully we will feel like we came out better for it and it was worth the fight. And I do believe we will feel that, just like how we emancipated ourselves from England. And I think the world and Americans are better off for it. Even though I love London and I love England, I love the UK, I love Scotland. I mean, I love them. Love, 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 love them. And I feel them in my heart and soul. So nothing against them. I'm just saying we bred a new culture. Look at the crisis of Saturn again at 29 degrees Capricorn. That's pain, that's suffering. We, in this lunar eclipse, we are going to bring in COVID, we're going to bring in crisis. We are going to say out loud, and you're going to see it again in the streets, it probably isn't going to die down, that we don't want this outside authority. We want to be our own authority. We are sort of emancipating ourselves from corporations and rotten systems that have no heart and soul in it. Soulless, rotten, gross, disgusting, oppressive systems. Now, there's another fascinating piece to this. So with the eclipse directly opposing the sun on that day and the United States birth chart's sun, we will fall out of step and we will become unaligned with the people in power. You are going to see the people, the person in power here fall. You will see it. It will not be pretty. Now, do I know what that looks like? No, I have no idea. I just know it's massive. With Capricorn at the 29th degree, that is the shadow degree of Capricorn. And it is about authority in crisis. And it is about, you have to realize I talk metaphorically. You know that, right? So leave me a comment below and let me know if you get me. Because sometimes people get on here and they take me so literally. And I'm a visionary storyteller. I'm trying to bring life and story and meaning. And I'm not a storyteller as a liar storyteller. I'm just trying to flesh out the depth and the magnitude inside the colorful meaning and story and metaphor of these symbols, of what these mathematical symbols mean. And so the United States will become fatherless with this massive eclipse. You'll see it. Because Saturn, the father, is at 29 degrees and it's sitting in opposition. It's sitting in opposition to the sun. And so the authority is about to crumble. Now, which authority is that? Well, I think it's the authority that is abusing power. I think it's a reckoning day for those who abuse power. And so we will surely see who that is, right? And who those people are. Now, do I think it's going to be straightforward and just, black and white? Absolutely not. Because we have a Neptune aspect going on that's going to make this really confusing. And it's going to be the shell game where I'm like, guess where the walnut is underneath the hat. And, it's going to be a game of manipulation and hat tricks and, woo-woo. And it's going to be crazy. But you will see the foreshadowing. You will see the theme song, when you're watching the scary movie and you know that someone's about to get it, right? Because the music tells you so. Yeah, the music is playing right now. The music is playing. And so, can you hear it? Metaphor, right? So this is the foreshadowing. And when it's a full moon eclipse, these are endings, these are goodbyes, these are oftentimes tragedies. So prepare yourself. There are goodbyes that are about to happen. And I have to prepare myself too. Don't get married on an eclipse if you don't have to, because you're getting married, you're saying yes and opening up a new chapter on a day of severe loss, on a day of endings, on a goodbye, on a sloughing off. Get married after the eclipse. I want you to listen to this clips that I played, and I did this in December, and it's from my video called Cataclysmic Change 2020. Saturn conjunct Pluto at 22 degrees Capricorn. How will it affect you? Because we're standing in this energy once again, all over again. We're in this almost exact same place. So listen to this.
You are going to see government systems with this Capricorn Pluto completely collapse. You are going to see a loss of faith like you've never seen it before. In 2019, we were plagued with that. It's going to continue in 2020. But I believe that the system has to have a massive breakdown in order for there to be a revolution, if you will, where the people demand at the soul level more, better, integrity. We're not all on the same page with what that looks like, but that's what the people will fight for. So we're being set up right now to fight for something, to fight for what you believe in. So I believe that the corruption had to be exposed, and we had to dance with it for a little while so we could learn from it and be slingshotted into the fifth dimension.
Okay, so here is what blew my mind. We had this same exact eclipse on July 6th. Now we're having it on late in the evening on July 4th Pacific time, and July 5th. But in 1944, on July 6th, we had this exact same eclipse. And do you know what day that was? That was D-Day. That was the D-Day invasion. It started with the Allied forces crossing into the English Channel to land in Normandy, right? France. And it signaled the end of the war in Europe. And the Allied leaders, Franklin Roosevelt and Winston Churchill, and also Dwight Eisenhower, he was like the general at the time, they began planning D-Day. I just got chills. And World War II was soon ended. But what it did was it ended Hitler's regime. And it ended Nazi Germany. And it was interesting because Hitler fell. And he fell for a trick. These dummy armies tricked him because he wasn't smart enough. And he was smart, but he wasn't smart enough. And the Allied forces basically duped Hitler and tricked him. And it was the loss of him. And so that was this eclipse in 1944. Let me tell you something else that's so fascinating. On July 6th, 1963, we also had this eclipse. Now remember, eclipses bring in massive life change where the world and life will never be the same again. So we had that eclipse. I'd love to look at Germany's chart and see, what this eclipse does in Germany's chart. That would be fascinating. I should even do it with Hitler. I should run Hitler's tri-wheel and put the United States and then that day 1944 and then Hitler, because I am positive you would see the demise of him in that chart. I wish I had all the time in the world just to do history, it would be so fun. But listen to this next one. This one will blow your mind too. On July 6th, 1963, we also had this exact same eclipse, and it shaped the United States with this mega, mega, mega forever life-changing moment, because Martin Luther King delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech, and it was the civil rights movement. And it also ushered in the KKK, and which I don't know if you know about the KKK, but they're the white supremacists that live here in the United States. They're like the old Nazis. But we never got rid of them. And they blew up this black church in Birmingham, Alabama. And it was just horrifying. Horrifying. Go look it up. We also had, again, we're talking no small things here. We're talking life changers, right? The polio vaccination became distributed nationwide in the UK and in the United States by a pill form. So now it was being given to everybody. Everybody had access to it, which was huge because polio back then, I mean, it was nothing like COVID. They're very different, but it made it was horrible and awful. So there, the cure for polio was coming about, and it was available to all people in all echelons of life. And then the very sad assassination of the beloved American president, John F. Kennedy, also happened under that eclipse. So that was just, that made our country weep. I wasn't alive, I wasn't born yet, but his assassination was just the death of our country. And his brother too. Sick, right? So sad. I don't wish for assassinations on anybody. I think they're unfair, and not right and inhumane. Listen to this. In 2001, on July 5th, we also had this exact eclipse. And two things happened. First of all, you all know 9/11 happened, which forever changed the entire world. And also, Timothy McVeigh was executed, was killed for the Oklahoma City bombing, that the terrorist bombing that he had put together years prior. So we're standing in that same energy of a very serious revolution, and it is happening around us. And we can pretend like, not having our great nails is, tough, whatever. It isn't. We are in like the fight for the soul of this country, and we are also in the fight for the soul of ourselves and who we want to be. Our work is getting more serious. Our lives are getting more real. We are getting more grounded. We don't take anything for granted anymore. We're not caring about superficial things anymore. Look at me. We've got more important things to do, right? We have way more important things to do. And so our values are shape-shifting. We care about human life at a whole different level now. We took so many things for granted. And so we're ushering in this game-changing, life-changing, revolutionary moment that is probably one of the biggest times in our lives. I have something else really important to tell you. I want to share with you one last quick clip because I want you to know that I was talking about this last December, and then come back because I want to share with you some really important dates about COVID and about life. This transit is going to show us new truths about our governance, how we govern ourselves, and how people govern us. You're going to learn new truths. You're going to see shocking things. You're going to see a revolt around our rules and regulations, our politics. People won't stand for or tolerate being oppressed or suppressed, not having rights or a vote or a voice. And this is deeply personal. This can be in your personal relationships. You will no longer tolerate being beaten up or underestimated or treated poorly or being invisible inside relationships that are supposed to love you. You won't tolerate being loved in a wrong way. You won't stand for it. There's a will, there's a might for this fight, collectively and individually. So where are you sick and tired of not progressing? Because that's the thing that wants to shift and change. That's the thing that is shifting and changing. And we have all through 2020 to figure it out. So let's keep going forward. I just wanted you to hear that. So July 8th, we might get some really bad news, and we might get news that feels like a setback. So Mercury is in Cancer and Mars is in Aries. and there's going to be a combativeness. So be gentle with your words, be kind, wake up in the morning and expect to receive some bad news, or you might even be the person with the sharp tongue. So be careful on July 8th. On July 12th, we know that Mercury goes direct, but it's a powerful day because it stations. So it kind of comes like to a screeching halt. So don't do anything really important on the 12th. Wait just a little bit. But on July 15th, I'd really like you to wait until after the 15th. On July 15th, the sun is opposing Pluto and exact. And so I think we're going to see some really hard things around that day. It's a power play day. It's a day when people feel deeply insecure, like they've had a loss of power or they want to fight. It can be a day when, because we've got the sun opposing Pluto, so it could be a very combative day. You might see a rising up or a swelling up. You might also see death at a higher degree. Then I wanted to also say that July 20th, we get a new moon, but this new moon is tough. It's going to need a little extra love because we've got Saturn opposing it. And when Saturn is opposing it, we're going to feel limited, and we feel like the authorities or the boss in our life wants us to do something that we don't really want to do. And so we feel stifled. We feel like we're maybe put back into our homes. We feel like we don't want to be compliant and we don't want to obey. And so we might get another order where, hey, maybe Americans can't travel to Europe or around the country, or there might become more cases worldwide or in the United States. So that's kind of a painful day too. The other thing I want to tell you is that with Saturn, Pluto, and Neptune in retrograde, this is a time when you really should work on you. You should work on your values, your projects, your internal belief system, excavating for your very best self, the very best and most powerful version of yourself. So we've got Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and Neptune, and they stay retrograde for quite a long time. It can be personally productive, where you can go really deep to create your next project and to work on your skill set, your gifts, and your life. But it can be massively challenging for the world. So the world needs this extra love at this time. So Mars in Aries is going to start this square dance to Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter in Capricorn. So Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter in Capricorn squaring Mars. And it's going to feel, this is going to start happening in August, and on October 9th, Mars is in Aries, and it's in retrograde, but it squares Pluto in Capricorn at 22 degrees. Then it also happens on December 20th, 2020. But I'm worried about that October 9th date, because that is exactly a month almost prior to the United States election. And with Mars squaring Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter, this election is going to try to be, it could even be stolen. It could be stolen, where there will be voter suppression, there will be fraud. So hopefully we have enough of a collective voice, that the collective voice is so massive that even with the part that is unfair and immoral and stolen, it still won't matter. But it also happens again exact on 12/20/2020. So put October 9th in your head and put December 20th, 2020 in your head. Those are really hard times. Now, it doesn't always, like I've told you before, it doesn't always land exactly on those dates. It can be a week earlier or a week prior. I think I already told you this, but just in case I didn't, I want to remind you, Saturn is retrograding from Aquarius back into Capricorn, so you can feel like you have to be your own authority, right? And it's a good time to understand your own voice and develop it. Use it. Figure out what your life wants to be about. Figure out how to manage your time, and figure out what work you want to do, and know that you are worth it. You might feel like you're not allowed or you can't ask for what it is you want or need, but you are worth it. And this if you are born between January 18th and the 21st, this is sitting on your soul. And so you may really feel this is a massive transit for you if you're born then, and you may even feel powerless, and you may feel stifled, like you're going nowhere, or that someone is holding you down or trying to, or pushing you back, and you may feel like you personally are in a crisis. And because this is happening around the 29th degree, it feels so uncomfortable, and it could bring in real sadness for you. It's like you're getting ready for this next chapter in life, but it's not coming without hard work. It's not coming easily. So it will come more easily in September. So right now you're doing your preparation, but it will be easier for you when Saturn goes direct. And that's around the last day of September. So just put in your head that around October 1st, that Saturn energy gets easier, where we do feel a little bit more free. However, we do have that Mars challenge. So while we get one blessing, we get kind of another hard thing. And that's how this wonky year is going, because not everything is all bad and not everything is all good. So we've got to work with the energy that we've got. There's some really interesting energy coming in August that I like. And we've got this Mars thing that we have to contend with. But I kind of want to tell you that July is going to have some really hard times in it. And I think we're going to get a reprieve in August. And I'm looking forward to it. But right now in July, lay low, go within, figure out what you're in love with, celebrate you and the blessings that you can see out there in the world. Focus on the good stories. Help us raise our collective vibration up in the world. Love a stranger. Be good to people. Know that we are all one. And I know this conversation was a little bit United States based, but we're really suffering here collectively. We're really divided and we're separated, and we're not in unity in any way, shape, or form. I'm wondering, are you in your country? Do you feel like there's more unification? I do think we're growing that. I do think we're building that. And I do think that is the whole reason why things are crumbling right now, so we can then unify in a stronger way in the future. I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it interesting. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them below. I do try to answer them all. And come follow me on Instagram. Join one of my happy hours. All the information is in the notes below. And from my house to yours, I hope you're wonderful. Help me get to 20,000 subscribers. Like my video, share my video, and subscribe. Take good care. I post content here every single Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. And I look forward to seeing you back here again then. Take good care.